And on this lesson, this one's called Announcing with Other Announcers. Okay, sometimes you do shows by yourself, but sometimes you team up with a co-host. Okay, when you're announcing with other announcers, you kind of want to know what the game plan is. All right, first things first. How many times have you heard a competition where there's two announcers and they're fighting to talk at the exact same time? They're stepping on each other. That's what we call, in the business of announcing, stepping on each other. That means when I'm talking, the co-host is talking, and we're talking at the same time. You never, ever want to do that. You don't want to step on each other, because stepping on each other is taboo when it comes to announcing. It sounds crappy, it sounds horrible, and no one can understand what's going on because two people shouldn't be talking on the mic at the same time, feeding all the speakers. So, don't step on your announcer. Wait for his natural pause or his or her natural pause to end, and then you jump in and start talking, okay? And they should do the same. When your natural pause comes up, then they should jump in, okay? And probably one of the best ways to do that is to establish the roles. As an announcer, you usually have a host and a co-host, and that co-host could be an expert in the sport, okay? So if he's the expert in the sport and you're the host, you should start everything off. So every video content, everything that happens, when you first break on the mic for the first time, the host should start. So establishing your roles should solve that right off the bat. Okay, as the host will announce, he'll start everything, and the host will also end things too. So the sport person is basically just set up in the middle, and the host is tossing him softball so he can hit him out of the park every single time. So that's the thing right there. Establish your roles. So if you're the host and he's the co-host, you lead in, you end out, they're in the middle, okay? And you talk to when you establish your roles, you talk to your fellow announcer and say to them, hey, we're gonna talk about this for about a minute and a half, then I'm gonna ask you a question about this, then we'll go back in another minute and a half, and then we'll close it and I'll send it to videos. So if you do that, that's establishing your role right away. And it's one of the most important things you can do as an announcer. And I'll tell you what, I've seen it so many times. All right. Trick calling, show calling. All right, in a lot of sports, there's trick calling, okay, where you need to know the tricks, okay? If you're the host announcer, you don't necessarily need to be the person who knows all the tricks. That's gonna be the expert, okay? So don't get in an argument where you're trying to call tricks, the sport guy's trying to call tricks, and it's almost like you're trying to show off who can call more tricks. And you don't need to do that. You didn't establish your roles. You're not sharing. You're stepping on each other. Do you see? So if you're the host of the show, that's not your job. If you have a co-host, that's his job. Now, if you're solo, then you do both roles. So it's no big deal because you are the role, all right? If you make it sound smooth, it doesn't look like you planned it out that way. So you can make things smooth by being smooth on the delivery, and that's prepping your co-host ahead of time. That's what I was talking about. Let him know what you're gonna do. Let him or her know where you're going with this, because that's gonna make smooth transitions. And when I talk about transitions, that could be a transition into a video, a commercial package, it could be down to a reporter, it could be to a rapper that's on the course, it could be a drum procession, it could be anything. See, but your transitions to those need to be smooth. So if you both get on the same page, you can make those transitions very smooth. New announcers. Well, there's so many times where you start getting a new announcer, and when you get a new announcer, that's always kind of tough. You get someone who's probably a former pro who used to compete, and now he or her is switching roles to be an announcer. So that is even more important, okay? That is even more important to establish your roles when it comes down to it. You gotta establish your roles for sure when it comes down to it. And when you have a brand new announcer, by establishing those roles, that is gonna be so important. And that's your lesson, announcing with other announcers.